Hi friends, welcome back to your virtual studio. I'm Zuri and I'll be leading your prenatal and postnatal friendly practice today. This practice will also be beneficial for many different bodies as it is a standing practice where we will move pretty much the entire body, and all we are going to need is the support of a chair or a wall or a counter or a couch, anything that's just about this height that you can kind of place your hands on, so that we might do any kind of L-shape positions. We'll do a couple of warrior variations here, and we just need a little support from either a chair. If you do have a chair, you can set it up similar to the way that I have here, which is just sort of the top of my mat. And if you are using a wall, you can place your mat kind of by the edge of the wall so that the wall is there and accessible for you. And that's pretty much it, all right? We don't need anything else. We're not going to be getting onto the ground. And that's it. We're going to get started, all right? Leave the chair as it is, and you can begin facing any part of the mat that you'd like. I'm just facing this way so that I can face the camera. But here we are, just kind of meeting in this standing shape. If for you that means maybe shrugging the shoulders or making a couple of movements, shaking things out, dancing about until stillness becomes a little bit more comfortable. And the attention can move a little bit more to the breath. Can the breath move in through the nose, out through the nose? If for whatever reason, perhaps you're feeling a little stuffy, you might release some of the breath gently through the lips. Otherwise, see if you keep the nose, or rather the lips, sealed. Breathe in and out through the nose. And start to notice the length and the width of the trunk, finding a little bit more expansion through each breath. And notice the hug that you can give yourself and or baby, if baby is inside, as you exhale. Let each breath start to feel a little bit more like a hug. Hands can stay as they are, or you might have one hand over belly, other hand over heart or chest. Just giving yourself permission to arrive to this moment, to this space. Allow it to be a mindful gathering between yourself, or perhaps between yourself and baby. Let's let the light back in, flutter the eyes open, blinking a little bit, letting the hands come down towards the side, then inviting the arms up. The chest can extend as much as it would like to here. Let's float the arms right back down, maybe tying it with the breath now, a full breath in, and let it go. The upper back can lift, the rib cage can lift and extend as much or as little as it feels comfortable. Let's just remain rooted through the feet, through the legs, or through the heels. The eyes can remain open or soft. One more. Don't worry so much about where the in or out breath needs to be. As long as you're not holding the breath. Let's go ahead and just start with to meet with the arms up. Let's pause here. A full breath in. And as you exhale, bend your elbows, cactus arms. Maybe here there's just a little bit more of a sense of stretch or opening through the front of the chest without pushing the chest too far forward. It's not a deep spinal extension. We're just holding this cactus arm variation. Feeling the opposite or looking for the opposite movement, let's round the spine. Just the upper back. The pelvis is staying relatively still. We're just kind of finding this invisible ball. And then come back. Let's drop that ball and open the chest again, cactus arms. Let's round it again, finding that invisible ball. And then opening up, just keeping this in the upper back. Let's switch things out a little bit. The right arm is going to come tuck underneath, pointing towards the left, and the left arm is going to come up and over, pointing towards the right side. So there's this little bit of lateral bend that's happening here, but each arm is pointing in the opposite direction. Let's draw a big circle. Imagine that you're holding this gigantic steering wheel, and we're going to turn that steering wheel, and suddenly the left arm is pointing down but towards the right arm is pointing up but towards the left. Lateral bend here. Keeping it most at the upper trunk, right? So pelvis is still nice and neutral. Belly and belly button are just kind of facing forward. There's not too much happening at the lower spine. Let's see if we do that one more time. Turn that giant steering wheel as much or as little as you'd like. And then just back over one last time, opposite side. Beautiful. Let's meet with a T shape at the arms. Each arm just reaching out, full breath in. And let it go. Stay here. One more breath. On the next breath, start to lead your palms forward. Let your palms aim towards each other. They might connect. Then let your arms open out like wings. You're going to find the place where it feels like center. Then find the stuff between your shoulder blades. Let them squeeze. Do the arms move back a little bit, bringing, again, that sense of stretch or opening towards the chest. Let's close the arms again. But we don't always have to do a back bend in order to open the chest. So let's see if we find that one or two more times. I'm going to go for two more. You do more or less. Think about pushing the arms forward. The shoulder blades separate when our fingertips are forward. And then we're going to find the muscles, the squishy stuff behind the shoulder blades, between the shoulder blades. Give them a squeeze. Good. And when you're ready, the arms can relax down. Maybe there's a little shrug. Maybe there's a little shake. Maybe there's a wiggle for everything. Take a breath here. And let it go. One more on your own. Let's open the eyes and start to turn towards the chair or your wall. And we're going to greet the feet here just by starting to lift the heels and drop the heels. You're welcome to bring a little bit more of a rocking motion to this first variation where the tops of your feet come off the floor, and then we roll to the balls of the foot or the feet as we lift the heels, and then back to the heels, rocking back and forth. Now, instead of the rocking, the next time that you drop your heels, let's leave them there. Think now of just lifting your heels by pressing even energy through the balls of the feet, and then dropping the heels mindfully and slowly so that the rocking action, that momentum that we were engaging with before, it's no longer there. This is a more controlled kind of elevator movement, just up and down, a little slower. Slowly turning on the lower body. The next time that your heels touch the floor, just bend your knees. It's not exactly chair pose, but we simply bend the knees in the direction of our real chair or your wall, just to sort of greet the ankles. You might bounce a little bit if you'd like to. And we'll do a little bit of that knee flow, that knee greeting 2 more times as a bit of a flow. Let's bend the knees. Little breath. Stand back up. And again, let's do that 2 more times. Noticing the ankles, having a nice grip of the balls of the feet, the heels, the toes, almost like everything is gripping the mat here. Good. Let that go. Lift the heels 1 more time. Drop the heels, bend the knees. Straighten the knees, lift the heels. Drop the heels, bend the knees. Beautiful. Staying nice and still next, we're going to step the feet back, keeping the hands at the wall or your chair. We're going to find a downward dog at the wall or a downward dog at our chair, finding a little bit of space through the lower back. We're pushing the hands into the wall or chair and then allowing the pelvis to feel as though it is reaching in the opposite direction. So there's a sense of pull in both directions here, up through the crown of the head and down through the tailbone here. If you'd like your knees to bend, they can bend as much as you'd like. If you've got baby, you've got a little bit more space you can go for, maybe widening the feet a little bit more than the mat. Those are invitations here. You can move or you can be nice and still, taking just a simple static stretch. But these stretches can also happen with a little bit of movement. Take your pick here, take your time. Maybe 1 more breath in this shape. As you think of coming forward, bend your knees, walking your feet together, and then forward. Take a breath. Opening the eyes. Let's keep here the right foot forward and start to step the left foot back. So we're trying to find a little bit of a split squat or a lunge, but this lunge is short. And why we call it a split squat is because the knees are more or less both bending at about 90-ish degrees. We're not worried about degrees or numbers or anything like that, but just to give you an idea of why that might be called a split squat, we are doing a little bit of a shorter lunge variation here. So find the space you need. And notice here that the back knee is relatively closer to the front leg than, say, a wider lunge variation. Allow the breath to stay present. And the next time that you stand, let's take a little pause, shift the weight towards the front foot, slide or hop that back foot forward, take a breath. You can release your hands if you need to. Let's go for the other side. Left foot forward, right foot steps back, not too far, just enough so that both knees can bend comfortably here. Both knees finding the action of bending. In different lunge variations, for example, if I step my back leg, sometimes we just kind of focus on the front leg, which is awesome. Here we're targeting a little bit more of both hips at the same time. Even though they're both doing something slightly different through this action, it's a really great place to get them both involved. And the knees as well, and your ankles. Both of your ankles are working on their dorsiflexion. And you might notice that one side wants to do more or less than the other side. Take your time with it, just feel it out. We're not trying to go for a lot of fatigue, but just a little bit of warmth into the lower body. Maybe the next time that you stand, we'll get ready to shift the weight forward. Shake things out, take a breath. Hands back to the chair, right foot forward, left foot back, this time a little bit further away. We're making our way towards warrior two. So you'll heel toe that foot with a little bit more distance, allowing your right knee to bend in the direction of your chair. Now I'm straightening and rebending my knee a couple of times just to gauge where my hip, where my knee and ankle are going to be happy, where I feel stable through the back leg. So if you have to do any more wiggles, allow that to happen. Maybe you feel a little centered, right, with your feet sort of connecting, drawing any kind of lines. Maybe it's heel to arch, maybe it's heel to heel. When you're ready, finding some stillness, yet energy through your legs. Imagine the legs now are starting to slide together. You can keep one hand at wall or chair, other arm reaching out. If you have space, maybe both arms can lift, bringing your gaze beyond the front hand or to your beautiful wall. Let's take 2 more breaths here, thinking of maintaining that sense of activity through the legs. You're still hugging the legs together. We're still growing tall through the crown of the head. Good. From here, straighten the legs, hands to the hips. The right or the left hand stays where it is. The right arm is going to come up for reverse triangle. Just allowing the top arm to reach, just a slight extension through the front of the rib cage. This will become reverse warrior if you bend your right knee. That's an invitation, or you can stay in your triangle. Good. Straighten the front leg if you went for that knee bend, and then hinge at your right hip, bringing your hand back to your chair or to your wall for a triangle pose variation. In our triangle pose, we want the pelvis, the trunk to face the long side of the mat, if you will, so that the hinge or perhaps the stretches that we're trying to look for are happening either the hinge is at the lateral side and maybe stretches are happening anywhere around the tops of the thighs here. Now you've got a couple of options. If you have a chair like me, your top arm can be straight, palm facing up, and use your arm to give you just a little bit of leverage here so that we're not just over sinking and hanging down really low, unless that feels really good, right? And you're able to still keep that sense of kind of length and almost mountain pose in your trunk. You're welcome to bend your elbow. Right? So take your pick. Either the arm is nice and straight. We're hinging at the right side of the hip. Both feet are still active. They still want to slide in towards one another. And then the top arm can lift as if it would like to. It can reach over by the ear, just as if you were holding an invisible ball. Or it can reach up towards the ceiling, depending on where you are. Good. Let's go ahead and rebend that front knee when you're ready. Steady hand onto that chair. Let's start to pivot our trunk Back heel will lift. Both hands find wall or chair. Shift your weight. Slide or hop that back foot. Shake things out a little bit. Take a breath in your mountain pose. Let's return for the other side. Hands back to your chair, left foot forward, right leg back here, moving towards warrior two. So we want more distance this time in the back leg, heel toe as much or as little as you need. You can also heel toe the front foot to either align it with the toes, the heel, or the arch of your foot. You can kind of take your pick here, just seeing where everything feels balanced for you. Bending the knee a couple of times. Just kind of warming things up, preparing to stay. When you're ready, that tailbone is going to stay pointed down. Pubic bone stays lifted up. Keep that sense of activation by sliding both feet towards one another. They don't actually move, but the engagement is present. Let's take a couple of breaths here. Nice and easy. Hand can stay resting. Both hands can always rest whenever they need, or they can reach up. The next breath here, we're going to straighten both legs. Back hand to the hip, left arm reaches up and back, reverse triangle. Bend the left knee, reverse warrior, or stay in your reverse triangle. Straighten the front leg. Let's hinge at the left side of the hip as we bring our left hand towards the chair or wall. Staying here so that the trunk is facing now this opposite side of the mat here, deciding if we want the top arm to be nice and straight, kind of pushing against the chair just to create a little bit more length. Or if you need to hinge a little bit more because you have the space and because it starts to feel like a nice release, it depends on how you're carrying baby, what sensations you're feeling today. So you might bend the elbow or you might stay a little higher, right? Be mindful, discerning with the sensations that baby and body are giving you. And then when you're ready, this top arm can lift up and over. You can also just leave that top arm a little bit more down to the hip or just reaching to the ceiling. Let's slowly re-bend the knee. Take your time here as you start to pivot, the back heel facing forward. Shift the weight, slide or hop that back foot until we come back to a standing position. Taking a full breath in. A full breath out. Enjoy your breath here. Let's find one more L shape or downward dog at wall or chair. Both hands return to our support. Feet walk away any distance that is comfortable, and they might also choose to stay a little bit wider. We can stay for a few breaths here in stillness, but bending the knees, maybe swaying side to side, bending one knee, then the other, that may also be suitable. So you might choose stillness or a little movement. Let's slowly heel toe the feet together and then forward, coming back to stand. Depending on where you are, if you're using a chair, I invite you to sit on your chair as we come to the end of the practice. And if you're by a wall and it's comfortable for you perhaps to sit on the floor, you might choose to have your back against the wall and allow the wall to continue to support you here. Take your time and just find a space where you can just sit and breathe. There's nothing else to do, nothing else to push or pull. Just be. Find a comfortable space for your hands, maybe around your lap, or they might be supported around the support of your chair. Come back to your breath. How is your energy now? Decide if there is a way in which you can extend your mindfulness practice beyond this moment. Is there an intention, a short-term goal, or an idea to dedicate your energy towards? Whatever you might choose, may you enjoy your day.